Hello, I'm Ingrid Pitt, and I bid you welcome to Trailers from Hell. By the early 70s, Hammer Films had been turning out horror movies for about 15 years, and even with the addition of more blood and boobs, fatigue was beginning to set in, for them as well as for the audience. One trick they came up with was blending horror with other genres, as in the kung fu epic Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. But they really struck gold with a horror swashbuckler. It turned out to be one of the very best pictures they ever made. But unfortunately, audiences at the time just didn't agree. In fact, it was such a flop that they canceled plans to turn it into a franchise. But there were those of us who saw it even then as an instant classic, and soon enough, many other folks did likewise. Swords at the ready? Let's meet KRONOS.
In the 18th century in Central Europe, a black terror swept across the face of the land. The curse of vampirism, which had been a half-forgotten memory for hundreds of years, returned with a fury that struck unholy fear into the hearts of every man, woman, and child.
It's a vampire movie, it's a swashbuckler, it's a floor wax and a dessert topping, which is actually true. It's slick and shiny and yummy. It comes by its flair naturally, as writer, producer, director Brian Clemens, producer Albert Fennell, and composer Laurie Johnson were all veterans of a little TV show called The Avengers. The genres meld more easily than you might expect, and Clemens took the liberty of breaking a few rules, as explained here.
It is commonly supposed that a vampire attacks in only one way, by biting the neck and draining the victim of blood. The girls you spoke of, they were not drained of blood, but of youth, of life itself.
German-born Horst Johnson makes a suitably dashing hero, but his accent was pretty thick, so his entire role was looped by Julian Holloway. Caroline Munro is drop-dead gorgeous as always, while the great Ian Hendry has a smashing cameo and a terrific reworking of a bit you've seen in 1,000 samurai films. The rest of the cast is made up of less familiar faces, but they're all excellent, especially John Cater as KRONOS' hunchback sidekick. Clemens does a fantastic job of drenching the film in atmosphere, and I was quite shocked when I learned most of the exteriors were actually shot in a park in the heart of London. And because it works so hard to avoid cliches, one gets completely wrapped up in the tale, unsure of where we're headed next. Clemens' plan was to make KRONOS a time traveler, hence KRONOS, Greek for time, with sequels set in different eras. But it ended up just another nail in the studio's coffin. Released in 1973 as simply KRONOS, it sat around for over a year before Paramount picked it up for the US, along with Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell, and gave the compo a perfunctory drive-in release, one of the very last times a first-run double feature opened in America. And because there already was a film called KRONOS, and the word itself seemed strange, it was given its more descriptive title. But as you can see by these clips, it's a grand entertainment, packed with action, chills, and suspense, and driven by Johnson's magnificently soaring music. It's one of those films that transcends its roots, and one can't help but weep for what might have been had audiences at the time been more perceptive.